Hello and welcome back to CBR MTG. I'm Angus Mackay and I'm joined with Lachlan Saunders.
Hey.
Today we're stepping away from our usual legacy content and diving in a little bit deeper.
So we've got ourselves an interview with recent GP Team Limited champions Jim Wilks, Ivan Schroder and Simon Linabury. This is Australia's first Team GP ever, and we're so happy that some Canberra boys were able to take it out. They faced against a massive field of over 280 teams, and even going up against Hall of Famer Yuya Watanabe with his teammates Najime Nakamura and Yoshiki Ikikawa in the finals. Absolutely amazing.
Fantastic effort.
Yeah, between them they've got multiple Pro Tour attendances, a couple of placings at Nationals. Jim even attended the World Magic Cup in 2016 and made top 8 with the Australian team, which is an amazing achievement. We're just like, it's just amazing to see Australians performing on the world stage.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to see such powerful wizards representing Canberra as well specifically. So we were able to get the exclusive interview with our CBR friends and wizards. So let's get into it. Hi guys, thank you for joining us tonight in my father's makeshift studio. Hopefully it goes all right for you guys. I wanted to ask you guys a few questions about your recent win at GP Sydney. Once again, congratulations on your win. It must be a huge honour. I was wondering if you guys could tell me, first of all, why did you choose each other as a team?
I guess we chose each other as a team because we're all good friends and also pretty confident in each other's skills at Magic as well.
Wonderful. I can definitely imagine that you need to find someone who you're emotionally compatible with, as well as meet each other's skill levels. Like it's not just a matter of liking each other as friends, but you also have to find a group of people that you can compare skills to. And I know that you guys are very competitive. You're very interested in having a high skill level as a team. So to be able to find that between yourselves would have been very rewarding, I'm sure.
Yeah, I think that really touches on. A big thing was that we all had similar goals going into the GP. So, for example, we all wanted to not just do well at day 2, but we had goals of top 4 or cashing. And with the effort we put in, we felt that was achievable.
Yeah, it was one of those things that Simon really stressed going into tournaments in a lot of our preparation, not just for this Grand Prix, but for PPTQs, RPTQs, anything.
Sure.
Simon made the point that we should always aim to win. And I guess it came across, right?
It's a good mentality to have.
Yeah, I think it's really important. I think sometimes people try to go for a goal that they think they might be able to achieve, but they're not sure. But maybe they're setting the bar a little low. So sometimes people might, go for day 2 at a GP when maybe they could try and aim a little higher. And it's that idea of you might not reach that goal that you're setting to be high, but you're almost giving yourself permission to reach it by setting it. And you can be happy with, hitting a goal that's a little bit lower than that.
Definitely. And I mean, you guys hit the biggest goal that you could on that day, getting number 1 placement.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Now, I'm sure there's a lot of mental preparation that went into, like, as you said, you're there to win. That is your mental preparation. But what training did you go through, like actual physical training to prepare for this event?
We all went for a lot of runs, a few hikes. We every week we do testing with our team, Team XP, but we started doing it a little bit extra as well leading up to the Grand Prix. So we have a series of team sealed pools which we had prepared. We had about 7 or so.
Yeah, we had a lot of pools.
Yeah, and we just made it in such a way because there's 12 of us in the team, or 12 of us who were playing at GP, and we had these pools built up and we'd build them amongst each other, like amongst our own 3-man teams, and then pass that pool onto another team, have them build it, and then sort of rotate them around and record all the builds we had, play some games, and just sort of figure out that sort of thing. And that's kind of where our main focus for it came from. We wanted to stress that building our pools was important, but so was communication as well, which I think we had to work on for a bit.
Well, I definitely think one thing that I guess helps kind of behind the scenes with like the team mentality is very much driving a positive atmosphere. So we're not focusing on the negatives when we play, and also in terms of talking about cards and not just saying, oh, that card's bad, but, there are applications where things can be useful, and just highlighting the positives associated with not just your gameplay, but the card's potentials. And I definitely know, since I was out for a lot of field work beforehand, also getting just a lot of practice of the formats, how the cards interacted by playing drafts and sealed online, helped me get to a point where I felt I'd be on the same page as these guys.
Definitely. And did you have much experience with team sealed specifically, and how did it differ from regular sealed?
So yeah, Jim definitely had the most experience with Team Sealed as a format, and helped sort of guide us, give us some tips on what we should be focusing on, what we should actually be doing.
Yeah, it definitely took a lot of lessons we learned from the World Magic Cup, testing with David Mines and Ryan Cubitt and Gary Lau as well. We spent a while sitting down for Grand Prix Rotterdam, leading up to that World Magic Cup, figuring out what we're supposed to do with Team Sealed. And I think that's when we sort of clued in to the fact that you are going to be playing Magic, but being able to talk to your teammates efficiently and in a productive manner is really, really important. And it's something that Ivan, Simon and I had to sort of figure out as well. We are good friends, but understanding how to talk to each other about Magic and get the right answers out, especially in a time-pressured environment, like a Grand Prix match, was very important.
Yeah.
We definitely had a few issues leading in.
Yeah.
I think, for example, we definitely, the way we play Magic, we'd often have different lines for how we play a game. And when you're spotting one of your teammates, you're not, or, get asked for a hand with a situation, you're not across what they've been playing towards till that point. You just see an instantaneous board state. And we definitely otherwise see different ways to play it from there, which doesn't necessarily match up with how we've built the board to that state. But in terms of also how the format differs between Team Sealed to draft or regular sealed, it was definitely different to both the other two. I know Amonket draft was just very aggressive. You had to be able to handle a great curve. I guess we knew that at least one of the three decks we felt, and maybe we missed the boat a little bit here, but red-white came together in a lot of pools as a great curving aggro deck. Whereas Amonket sealed, that was very much what you wanted to be doing was 5 color bombs in effect, with your Gifts of Paradise splashing whatever good cards you've got.
Yeah, we definitely had a scale we kept asking people, which was, on a scale of Amonket draft to Amonket sealed, where do you put Team Sealed on that? And I think we sort of almost unanimously came to the idea that it was more on the draft side of the speed scale, I guess. We didn't want to be sort of screwing around with really slow, dirty decks. We wanted to have a proactive, aggressive decks most of the time. The nature of having 12 packs to build sort of ended us up with a situation where we would usually have some good aggressive decks, and then if we did have a slower deck, there'll be usually good enough cards to build that. But I think the biggest pitfall we avoided, which we sort of started slipping into at the start, was trying to build that ramp deck that Ivan was talking about, where we would put all our bombs into this one deck and be like, we can have 2 commons and uncommons and 2 aggressive decks, it's fine. But it really just ended up being, we split those cards up.
Yeah, when you're playing, 3 decks out of 12 packs, most of the time you're playing, 2 colors in each deck, so 1 color's getting played twice. So at that point, you don't necessarily have to play a big ramp deck that you can splash your bombs in, because you should already be playing all of the colors anyway. So we sort of shifted away from that strategy, and that was quite helpful, because in the beginning we were definitely looking to build that deck from our pools, and then towards the end we were hoping to avoid it.
Wonderful. Did you take any precedence on not pigeonholing yourself in a constructed playstyle that you're used to? I know that, Jim, personally, you're a control player by heart and by nature. Is that a fair assumption?
I think I don't think it's a fair assumption.
Okay.
No, it's
the vibes you give off, G.
Look, you can't play aggro. Mate.
there was it's like a running joke that I can't play aggro. But
Okay, sure.
the thing is, like, I haven't played like a pure control deck that much. Like the first Pro Tour I qualified for was definitely with the dirtiest control deck possible, and there was definitely a time I would just play control. But I think like current constructed Magic has shifted away from that.
Okay.
So I've played a lot of different decks since then. So I'm more comfortable playing aggro now. So when it came to building these decks for limited, I mean, like, limited is one of those formats where you just have to, you play what you're given, right? Like, you have to be comfortable like, being flexible with the role in any given game. Like, you could have a control deck, but have an aggressive start in a game. You have to understand how to take your control deck and play it in an aggressive way. And I think that was really important for limited.
Yep. I'd definitely say as well that we didn't really have any plans of like, Simon on red white if it comes together, or like Ivan play the blue deck. We didn't really get to that point. At first we'd actually picked out, look, I'm probably less comfortable playing X deck out of the three. But then as we practiced more with the team seal, we kind of overcame that. We're just like, no, we're all happy with whatever. So how did we decide which deck?
It was one of those things, like, we'd all drafted the format, and we all had definite decks that were in our comfort zone, or decks we hadn't played yet. And what we sort of did was, we were like, okay, at the start, we're like, all right, Simon, you've been playing a lot of red-white, or white-black zombies, maybe you focus on those decks. And then, like, Ivan played the blue-black cycling deck, I played, like, a blood ramp deck, and red-white as well, so I was comfortable with those. And what we started doing was we started talking about what we thought our strengths were in terms of archetypes, and what decks we didn't want to play as well. And that was, as Ivan said, that was kind of at the start, early stages of it. But as we sort of went on, we all sort of went out of our way to try and play those other archetypes.
Yeah.
And fill those gaps. Because we may not have become as good as other people on the team as at those archetypes. Like, I may not have been as good at red-white or white-black as Simon got. But having played those archetypes and getting more of an understanding for myself in those sort of battlefield states, I guess, I'd be able to offer more worthwhile advice during something like a Grand Prix. So I could look over at his board and see what game state he was in, and be able to sort of be like, okay, we've played this matchup before. At some point, we know this card is good against that archetype, or they might be setting up a plan around this, like maybe Black Cartouche, which is pretty big in like the aggressive races.
It's a really key common to look for in rules.
But that's the sort of thing that we sort of tried to figure out, and we definitely settled into, like, right before the GP, we're like, okay, we're going to play these archetypes and split it this way, but that's if our pool goes that way. So I think...
Well, and for day two, we definitely had that Simon, after playing brilliantly day one with zombies, we're like, oh, we have a zombies deck. Simon, I think. And I guess just because you've got that familiarity the day before, and that the success with those decks. I played a blue-white deck on day one, and again, the slowest blue deck on day two. And
and Ivan crushed it as well.
Yeah.
We always talk about an aggressive format. Ivan played like a control deck.
All these control decks.
I think it was like we think it was aggressive, but like you could play control if you skewed it to beat an aggressive deck.
Yeah.
Like, that was kind of the rule we aimed for at all times.
For sure.
There was definitely some interesting games on Ivan's behalf as the control deck.
Several games surviving on one life for multiple turns. Oof.
Was it end of day one or day two? We had the Soul Stinger with Black.
That was
Day two,
yeah.
where in game two I get knocked down to one life, and Black Cartouche to kind of like not bring me back into it, but be able to like vaguely stabilize. He can't attack until, but I don't know where I want to go with this.
It's one of those things I remember looking over at
great, yeah.
but looking over at Ivan's board and being like, oh, he's on one life. Okay, I guess he's dead.
Guess
right?
we're gonna go to the next game.
But he's like floating from 1 life to 4 life, back to 1, back to 4. Against his opponent's like flyers or something like that.
It was like Gust Walkers.
It was like a
something.
Slither Blade at some point. He ground his way back into the game, managed to get there, and it was
good. It's good to see your teammates push forward like that. You know,
Yeah,
seeing it come from the bottom, and ruin them on as best you can. But it's good to see that you had the support from your teammates to get you through there as well.
Yeah. It was,
Well, I definitely had that some of the spectators had walked off being like, "Oh, Varn's lost." Especially because it happened in both game 2 and 3, and this was round 14 to make top 4. So it was.
Oh dear. I wanted to ask, how did you prepare mentally and physically leading up to the event, the day before and the day of? What did you do to sort of prep yourself up? Did you take anything to snack on during the day? What advice would you give to others?
I think my key advice would be it's really important to, stay hydrated, get some snacks, and it's important to have teammates who'll bring snacks for you. Because I definitely brought nothing, and Ivan definitely complained that I was having more than my fair share of his snacks. So
the secret benefit of Team Seal.
Yeah,
getting
that's
a snack
part of how
buddies.
you pick a team, right?
Yeah, of course.
Who's the snack guy? Yeah.
I distinctly remember the Friday before the GP going out going on a break with some of my workmates and just picking up boxes and boxes of muesli bars, and they were very confused at what I was doing.
Some muesli bars were good.
Yeah, it was like just a stack of 40 or something muesli bars.
Yeah, but I'd say the big one is having a good sleep. That's at least we had average sleeps, but getting to the venue the day before means that you and Jim actually put effort. This is where he chose to fly to Sydney after work because he had to work Friday, rather than catch a bus and arrive, near midnight. Really, just set himself up poorly for the next day. But in the end, because he got there with some time, we're all able to wake up rested, had time for a coffee in the morning, which is great. But we definitely didn't beanstalk it.
It's really different playing a team sealed GP.
Yeah.
Because there's no buys.
Yeah, sure.
And Ivan and I usually used to at least 2 buys at least.
Oh, buddy, I've been one buying it for a while.
It's enough to have a break and have sleep in a little bit, have some breakfast and recover. Starting from 9 a.m. and playing 9 rounds of Magic is killer.
I think there's a bit about knowing your teammates too. For Jim, we had to keep him plied with coffee the whole day.
Yes.
He needs his cups every other round.
Got to stop the headaches.
Yeah. It doesn't actually wake me up. It just keeps the headaches
Stops the
away.
pain. Sure. Now, day 1 was a little bit shaky with your last rounds ending with 2 losses and a draw. How did you come back from that? That must have put you on a little bit of a tilt to begin with. How did you come back from that just to get back to where you needed to be?
I don't know if we were particularly tilted at the end of day 1. Because we were still alive at top 8. It wasn't ideal to be X2-1 because any loss knocked us out of contention for top 4. Sorry, top 4, not top 8.
I guess it was a bit disappointing, the draw in the last round. That was really, we were playing against Dazani and
Li Tian.
And what was it?
Saito as well.
Saito as well. So one of the pro teams that attended, and it worked out that my match went to game 3 and his Glorybringer deck against my Angel of Sanctions deck, but I definitely had an advantage as we hit time, and I felt with a bit longer we would have been able to eke out that win and be in a much better spot. But that's how it rolls.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that it was disappointing to draw the last round, but at the same time we were going into day 2 still live, and that was part of our goal. And we figured that going into day 2, if we can 5-0, we can get there. I think because I don't think tilt helps any of us at all. So if we just sat there and freaked out about it and were stressing all night, we wouldn't get a good night's sleep.
Yeah, we were very positive. I guess that's the thing as I was mentioning before, we've really been trying to tackle playing our Magic more positively, and not a big thing that Jim really started was after matches. We have all had those matches. You get mana screwed twice, and your opponent rips perfectly to beat you. But that if you focus on that as your complaints, you're kind of missing the opportunities to see, well, maybe I could have played a different way and pushed my game ahead a turn so he couldn't have drawn his perfect out. Really just trying to pull ourselves away from the I got variance.
I mean, like,
Sure.
yeah, like the whole
Sure.
idea of
Yeah.
like variance that happens in the game and just sort of accepting it, I guess. And not,
It's almost like giving the power back to yourself by looking at, okay, I had maybe, less than a 1% chance to win, but what could I do to make that a 1.5% chance? Were there some variables that I wasn't considering? Maybe, this removal spell I used, on turn 2, 5 turns before I lost the game, I should have held it. Or, maybe played it on turn 3 and you should have played it on turn 2, and then you might have been able to draw what you were looking for. It's just, I think, very important and useful as far as improving as a Magic player goes.
Sure.
yeah, I think we're going to release our DVD on self-help
Yeah.
at some point. Positivity.
I think it's very important how you guys approach this, because I know a lot of players, including myself, who've gotten in that position where something goes wrong, or you go into a downward spiral. But it's very important for you guys to say, yes, that happened, move on from it, because it's not what defines us. Day 2 is a new day. And it was a new day because you ended up doing very well the second day, very, very well. What was it like to be in the featured area with Yuya Watanabe and his team?
It was pretty daunting. Like, we were saying this before, if you're going to play the finals of a tournament against anyone, you don't want it to be Yuya, right?
That's right, yeah.
But that was Jim, because he obviously had to play Yuya. Simon and I were just like, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's not let Jim's negativity,
Yeah. In the team draft, I was just sitting there drafting this deck, and I was passing a lot of really great green cards. So basically I was passing straight to Yuya, and then Yuya was passing to Ivan, and I was just passing all these great green cards thinking to myself, wow, I hope Ivan's in green. Then at the end of the draft, when we were sitting there building our decks and looking over at each other's decks, and I realised Ivan didn't have a single green card, I was like, good luck, Jim.
I think my only green cards were a Mouth to Feed and a Nissa.
Yeah.
That was in blue-black.
But I think one thing that kind of we were quite surprised at when we got to the build on day 2, back at the start of the day. Now, we probably, in our testing, did around 10 pools. And this day 2 pool was the second worst we'd opened at all. We had 4 rare lands. We didn't have really any of the major staple uncommons or trial shenanigans to really build solid decks. And we found that a big challenge. There were lots of mediocre decks that we could put together, but trying to find the best way to give each line of winning. And I think Jim has a good story of where we built his deck to steal games.
So what Ivan's talking about is we built our green deck for day 2 as green-red. And one of the key parts of the green-based aggro decks we were talking about when we were testing was having access to combat tricks and ways to try and break through board stalls, that sort of thing. You want to be able to keep attacking. So I looked at the pool and I was like, well, we don't have Shed Weakness. We don't have, in black, we don't have Supernatural Stamina, so I can't build the green-black aggro deck, which I was pretty happy with. So instead we ended up with green-red, with 2 brute strengths, and a fling. But I tried really hard to get into that deck. Because I wanted to be able to steal games from people with the wombo combo of brute strength, my fat dude, and flinging at your face, and kill people out of nowhere. And Simon was, I'm going to throw him under the bus, Simon.
No, that's fair. I was skeptical.
Simon was skeptical of me being able to pull off the combo.
Did it every game.
Oh, you're on 18? Wow. That's lethal, right?
Yeah, immediately, the first game I play of the day, it's Scaled Behemoth, attack, my opponent's 6 whatever. I'm like, brute strength, 9 years. He's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, fling, 18. Just look at Simon and I'm like, 18 my opponent, Simon.
Yeah, I was converted on the spot. Yeah.
Now, Team Sealed was the main focus of the event, but how much preparation did you put into Team Draft?
Literally none.
It was in the hour before the team draft started that we asked the old timers from Canberra crew. This is the JP, Anatoly, and so on. Back when team draft was played a little more. What the hell was
we straight up went up to him and was like, hey, you gotta help us. We don't know nothing about team draft. What do we do? And they give us the full rundown about like, you think what, like a zero-sum game, right? And like you want to take like very powerful cards away from other players, and hate drafting is actually like actively good.
Okay.
The problem with that is we ended up sitting down after our first draft, looking at our decks and being like, these are all awful. Yeah. What are we going to do with this?
Oh, no.
Yeah. I'd like to go on the record as well that I suggested we practice team draft before the event and was laughed out of the room. Jim in particular was not fond of the idea.
We don't want to play Team Sealed.
To benchmark that, I guess, if you've seen the Team Draft Super League at all, which was why Simon was our resident expert, since he'd at least seen a team draft happen. But their decks are infinitely better than what we ended up with. I think we probably took hate drafting a little to the extreme because we were very scraping on players.
If you go back and look at the coverage, in the coverage for like the Japanese team versus us in the finals, they were like, apparently Ray asked both teams how we thought we went, and we were like awfully, and we thought that like Yu-Gi-Oh! And stuff had like a really sick deck, and apparently he asked the same question to them, and they were just like, yeah, it's awful as well. I would like to guess that we just hate drafted so savagely. We just tanked everyone.
We'll take all the credit.
Yeah, I mean it worked. Like,
I don't know how the other draft went between the Melbourne team when they played against the Japanese.
Yeah, actually, I saw a picture of Yuya's deck
It was
from
nuts,
that
right?
draft, and yeah, he had like Glorybringer, Liliana, Death's Majesty, like two of the best rares in the set. So yeah, I think we definitely.
Meanwhile, we hate drafted those. Like we both picked insult to injuries in each draft with no red because we just couldn't let anyone else get it.
At the expense of your own pool, sabotaging everyone else's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When it is a team format, and it's so much more important to be able to do that, to take those resources away, because those are cards that your teammates won't be playing against either.
Sure.
So it's not just your game that counts anymore.
The other great thing about Team Draft is once we'd actually drafted our decks, we all got to sit down and talk with one another, and we sort of mapped out what key cards were left in packs when we passed them. And by doing that, we got to figure out what colour combinations our opponents were on.
Interesting.
And I think we guessed about, I think it was 4 out of 6 opponents' colour pairs, like, spot on. So we managed to, because we know who we're going to play going in, we figure out what colour pair they're on, and then maybe we decide to put a certain card in our main deck that otherwise would have been in the sideboard.
Pre-sideboard.
We immediately removed my hyper dirtily blue-black. Like, we got rid of new perspectives, we got rid of the green splash Vanessa and mouth to feed. We were like, we've got to skew it towards beating Yu-Gi-Oh's like green-red deck or something.
With a curve.
Yeah, with a curve.
Yeah. Definitely green, yeah. Lost a lot of green, yeah.
So, what was the best part of being in a team together on the whole event?
Winning together, right?
Yeah. It was pretty great. Oh, man.
I'd definitely say it was, for example, we were asked when we did the top 4 profiles, like, what was your record? And each of our papers we wrote on each of our bios, and we just wrote our team record. And then Ray came back to us, he's the coverage guy, and he's like, no guys, well, individually, how'd you do each day? And we legitimately don't know, because we weren't keeping track at all. I mean, we know that Jim and I carried Simon, but...
Oh, please.
You guys carried me, right?
Yeah.
Well, actually, you're right.
We stressed the idea of like, we win as a team, lose as a team.
Yeah.
And that was all that mattered.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to like end up with someone, if someone had a bad day, you know, feeling worse and worse of the 2 people. Like,
and legitimately, we don't know.
I think that's really interesting that you had pushed any other thought out of your mind except for the fact that you were all in just a team together. You really pushed that so hard that you couldn't even remember what your own records were, because your records were your team's records. I think that was very important for you guys.
Well, it worked out pretty well. I think at the end of the day, we might have also been a little bit, little high on the fact that we just top 4 to GP.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I think the important thing about Team Sealed is that a lot of it is skill, a lot of it is mental preparation, but sometimes you just got to leave it up to luck, and there's not much you can do about that.
We chose to overcome luck.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We did get very lucky, but
Yeah.
it does feel nice having like a team sealed sense, or like those team events. You know when like variance hits you.
Yep.
You know it has to hit the next two players as well, right? Like, yeah, I mean, it's comforting to know that you have two good players with you who can hopefully carry you when you fall short.
Now, after taking down the GP, which was a huge moment for you, for you three, you got $5,000 each and tickets to the next PT.
Yes.
What is the future for you guys? Are you planning to go all the way together, or are you going to? What's the future for you guys?
So Jim and I are heading to the next PT Ixalan. Ivan's had to defer this PT because he's getting married, which I don't know, priorities, but
Definitely, I'll tell people, the Pro Tour clashes with my wedding, so I'm going to have to defer it. And then the common response was, what, the wedding? So, I think I've made...
So good, I'm sorry.
This is Jim's joke.
Have you told her yet?
It's actually your joke.
It's not my joke!
But, so I've put that back. I've already got accepted, so I'll be testing up Modern instead for Pro Tour, whatever it is in Bilbao.
Wonderful.
Spain. Yeah, the one non-American GP at Pro Tour next year.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I think that for us as a team, like, we want to keep qualifying people for the Pro Tour. I mean, like, we're a pretty small team, and we're from Canberra, and Canberra's not a very big, piece of the Australian community, I guess. But we want to, try and prove that our team is good, I guess.
Yeah.
We've been putting up like steadily increasing results, and we're going to try and leave a mark on Australian Magic, and hopefully a bit of a mark in the international community as well. And just keep playing the game together, I guess, at the highest level.
Yeah. And I think the best way to do that is to build up not just our team, but the quality of Magic in general in Canberra. If we're all playing at a higher level, we all can make those smaller leaps. And I guess on that, it's a little sad that we're not playing in the Pro Tour and testing for the next Pro Tour together. That would have been great. But I have all the faith that both of these guys are going to 11-5 at the very least. I think they've both got their sights on number one, but so that I can see them in Spain.
Wonderful. I wanted to thank you guys so much for coming and spending some time with us and telling your story. Thank you so much for being a part of the Canberra Magic community. As you mentioned, it's not a huge community, but we love our Magic very much. So thank you once again, and hope you have a wonderful time at Pro Tour.
Thanks.
Thank you.
That was absolutely fantastic. Thank you again, Jim, Simon, and Ivan, for joining us in that interview. It was truly incredible to see me in front of the camera and Lockie behind the camera.
Yeah, it was fantastic to get an insight into like their preparation, how they went on the day, and a couple of sweet stories in there as well.
It's fantastic to also, just as a new player, just to see how the sort of pros really tick. So we hope you enjoyed this video, and please stay tuned for more content.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment.
Thanks, guys.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.